One of the last opportunities to just get obsessed with crypto. The guys who are loud and boisterous and have veins popping out of their forehead as they're screaming at you to buy, probably not people that you want to be listening to. We're teaching you how to maximize on this crazy, insane opportunity to beat the banks in crypto. I don't know how long it's going to last.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Beat the Banks podcast by yieldfarming.com. Today, we are talking about a subject that is very dear to the founder's heart. David Malka on the other end of the phone. That is alpha. David, welcome to the show. How are you getting on today, my man?
Thanks, man. I'm doing pretty damn good, honestly. Crypto is in a little bit of a mini bear cycle, but as you know, I just log into my farms and collect my yield. I'm also finally, after 2 years in this bull cycle of being 14 to 16 hours a day glued to my computer, I'm on a little bit of a vacation. I got a puppy, we're going hiking, and kind of doing some bear market things here, which I've held off from doing the last 2 years. By the way, this is now a long answer, but I don't care. Screw you. Anyone who's listening, one of the last opportunities to just get obsessed with crypto. Like, don't get the girlfriend, don't go on dates, don't get a boyfriend, just get obsessed and work in crypto, learn as much as you can, volunteer in crypto, intern in crypto, and specifically yield farming and DeFi, where I believe that is the best money-making opportunity in all of crypto. We've talked about that in this episode and in all past episodes and all future episodes. So I'm doing pretty damn good, man.
That is alpha. For the guys who don't know, what David just shared with you was a piece of alpha. So let's get straight into it, man. What on earth is alpha? What do you mean by the term alpha? Let's break that thing down.
Yeah. So I believe the classic definition of alpha is just outperformance of benchmark returns. So you have two investment options, option A, option B, and A has outperformed B, which is like the benchmark return, like let's just say the S&P 500 or Bitcoin in crypto's case. So someone who is alpha, someone who shares alpha, are investment opportunities. Of course, not financial advice. That anything that you hear on this show or any past and future shows, we're not financial advisors, but people who share investment options or opportunities that outperform the sort of benchmark returns that you can get by just holding the standard Bitcoin or ETH. So that is alpha. A lot of people get their alpha from really bad places, and it's not actually alpha, like YouTube or paid chills on crypto Twitter. And so finding people who are actually alpha and who are sharp and not paid to shill is so important to creating intergenerational wealth in crypto. So like not just being hitting early retirement as a 28-year-old, but also your future family, your kids and your mom and dad, you can pay off their mortgages, things like that. That's intergenerational wealth. Now, one of the keys that I've discovered, and I'm sure James, you've had this in your life as well, to getting there with business or with crypto or health and fitness or relationships, is to having people in your social circle and having exposure to people who are obsessed with these subjects. They've read 25 books about relationships. They've been obsessed with it. They've had coaches and therapists, or they have been in crypto for a long time. They're super nerdy like I am, and they've been obsessed about yield farming like I have been from the early compound days. I have over 10 full-time coaches and researchers that I pay a lot of money to, actually millions of dollars to, on a yearly basis to produce alpha for me, and that we're sharing with the group. And so I have people in my network who are project founders. They know VC funds. They just get whispers of things that are happening, and they're my sources of alpha, and I've made a ton of money on them, and vice versa. I've helped them, and we just constantly share alpha with each other. Surrounding yourself with those types of individuals and also learning how to create it yourself is equally important. There's nothing worse, James, and you'll know this as well, than people who just leech alpha. And I'm sure many of you listening to this have had people like this in your life who just constantly ask questions. They take value, and they never give value back to you. And you never want to be that person. It bugs me I can't even use words to describe how uncomfortable I get, like even asking for alpha or asking questions to really sharp people in my network. I have to provide value back to them. So I'm like, it really, like, it hurts my soul. It bugs me. So you should be that way as well. And if you can do that, then people who are very wealthy or successful in your social circle, they're going to be excited to know you and to give alpha to you because you have this constant feedback loop and you're constantly giving value back to them. So information arbitrage, which is what I'm describing, and leveraging people who are obsessed about particular subject matters, such an important thing for you to do, and for you to find and invest the brain juice needed to finding these people.
Love that, man. And that's why, by the way, guys, we have obviously put together the Mastermind where you can get around the smartest brains, you can get around the coaches that Dave just alluded to. But if you're not quite at that level, then what you should do right now is like, subscribe, ring the bell on this video, and go straight down to the show notes, and you'll see a link for the free circle group, also named Beat the Banks. Get yourself in there, because you're going to be able to start leveraging other people's brain juice to start winning in crypto. What you should not be doing is what we're about to talk about next, which is relying on YouTube influencers, Twitter influencers for every single call that you're making in crypto. Why is this strategy, David, potentially the most dangerous thing that you can do to the health of your crypto portfolio?
Wait a minute, but we're on YouTube.
We are on YouTube.
Aren't we kind of poo-pooing on ourselves right now?
Yes.
What makes us different than YouTube influencers? I don't get it.
Well, let's talk about it.
What's the one big policy we have here at yieldfarming.com is that we do not have any affiliation with any other projects that are going down. We just seek the truth and we speak the truth. That's how we see it. Whereas a lot of other stuff going down on YouTube, on Twitter, all hyped up, probably loads of music playing, things flashing up on screen, guys throwing whiteboards at the camera, all that kind of stuff is probably a little bit suspect in our minds, well, my mind anyway. So David, let's just talk about what's going down on YouTube. What are some of the dirty tactics that might be going down that people just need to be aware of? We're not saying that everyone does this. We're on YouTube, we're using the platform as well. But I think it makes sense if you're aware of it. So let's get into that.
Yeah. So I think BitBoy Crypto would be probably the best example of someone who has been publicly ousted by several people that I know. I won't mention, but there's a ton of crypto Twitter threads about all the paid shills that BitBoy Crypto has been throwing out on his channel. And for those of you who don't know, he is a YouTube influencer. He's been around for a while. He has maybe 1 million followers, something to that extent. And he literally has a paid marketing PDF that you can look at and pay him 30 to 50K to shill your project. And someone made a spreadsheet looking at the 100 projects that he has shilled one by one, and the time that he shilled it. So what was the price of the token at the time he shilled it? And then how's it performed now? And they're literally all red. I think there's 2 that are green out of over 100. And most of them are down 70 to 95%. A lot of his community have lost significant capital. It's unfortunate. It's really sad. And then there's people like a friend of mine, Justin Bram, who make excellent content. Justin Bram does not do any paid shills whatsoever. He makes great content, super sharp dude, very nerdy as well. And he so there is definitely good content out there. The guys who are loud and boisterous and have veins popping out of their forehead as they're screaming at you to buy, or they're using all caps and a bunch of capital exclamation marks in their video titles, probably not people that you want to be listening to. And you'll see that we don't have any referral links. There's no particular tokens that we're shilling any low cap or medium cap projects. These are all things that have anything that we've talked about is just education. We're teaching you how to maximize on this crazy, insane opportunity to beat the banks in crypto. I don't know how long it's going to last. Honestly, I don't. People ask me all the time, like a year or two. I think as crypto continues to grow over the next 5 to 10 years and consumer growth grows and consumer demand grows, it's possible that these yields offered currently in DeFi will actually grow. And if you're having access to alpha for yield farming and the latest and greatest yield farms, and you know how to do it safely and you're not going to lose your principal, then the ability to earn incredible yields in crypto will exist for you for probably 2 to 5 years. Yeah, just be careful of random articles that you see and random posts that you see on crypto Twitter. There are certain influencers that do not do that. And if you actually go to the yieldfarming.com official Twitter, I try to follow some of the best influencers in crypto. I believe I follow around 300 or 400. So go and check that out and just go and follow the people that I follow and just be careful. Really ask yourself, like, what kind of token is this? What does 100x gem mean? Because you've seen those titles before, and really just do as much research as possible. Don't give into your emotions based on a particular chart or YouTube influencer that you've seen. Just do it safely. And so, we're just talking about yield farming, and we teach how to use and leverage protocols that have been around for 9 months. And we're not even telling you to buy their token. We're just saying go and farm stablecoins on this particular farm because they're safe. They have a great audit history. They haven't been exploited yet. They're very well respected. I know the developers, and you can generally go and earn a safe yield on them.
I really want to bring this up, David, and maybe it's not necessary, but it really struck home when you told me this. And I was like, David, why is it so dangerous following these single coin picks on YouTube that say, act now before X date? What's going down on here? And you explained to me that these guys typically are holding large bags themselves and they're getting their audience to pump their own bag, and then they're dumping on the very people who are supporting the channel, which to me sounds one of the worst things possible. But that's actually what is happening in some of these cases. Again, we're not saying XYZ person is doing this right now, but if you go and follow a lot of these influencers on YouTube, you will see a consistent trend in what's happening. And just all I would say is be more balanced when it comes to gaining information, when it comes to your crypto portfolio, and don't just go aping in because you see a new video which is saying actually urgent, action by this date, or you're not going to be successful, because normally it's going to lead you down a bit of a rabbit hole that you don't want to go down. So just wanted to throw that in. I'm not sure you've got any commentary on that.
Yeah. So I would say if you're starting out, of course, not financial advice. We're not financial advisors whatsoever. This is strictly entertainment. But if I was starting out, I would just hold Bitcoin, ETH, or I would be stablecoin farming. That's it. I wouldn't take any directional exposure until I really understand the crypto markets and really understand DeFi and how to analyze these protocols and how to play safely. I would also start with a small amount so that I don't get hacked or rug pulled. By the way, think about this in a long-term time frame. We're talking about 5 or 10 year investing. So waiting a couple months to play with a smaller amount at first and get your feet wet and understand how all this works. In the long run, the fact that you missed a couple months doesn't even matter. But the fact that you learned how to not get scammed and how to avoid these total paid chills where their bags have been filled before chilling, it's horrendous behavior. Regardless of my personal thoughts on it, that's how I would approach being a newcomer to crypto. Start small, learn as much as you can, just hold strong assets, Bitcoin, ETH, maybe some layer one tokens for a little bit of a gamble, like 10 to 20% of my portfolio. And the rest, I'm just stablecoin farming or BTC and ETH farming.
Let's talk a little bit about how we actually pick some of those alternative coins that are out there. I was actually on a call again. This is actually inside the Beat the Bank circle group. So again, get in the group with one of our coaches, Jonathan Jangle, and he was talking about capital rotation and how he tries to view where the money is going to. So can you just walk the viewers through what capital rotation is and how you try and find what is hot that also has real utility?
Yeah, it's a complicated subject, honestly, and we could talk about that for hours and hours and hours. You know, you look at a project like Cardano, and it's so funny because all of my friends who suddenly get into crypto, like in the last few months or even the last year, somehow, some way, the first thing that they buy is ADA.
Or XRP.
Or XRP, yeah. And it's because Charles Hoskinson and the Cardano team have done an incredible job at marketing. Truly commendable what they've done. So impressive. I'm like, okay, cool, great. You got into crypto. I'm proud of you. Have you tried using Cardano? And they're like, no. And so I say, well, like go and use it. Try to play on the ecosystem and let me know how it goes. And they messaged me a couple of days later and they're like, man, it's complete garbage. Like the throughput, the transaction speed, the failed transactions, it's incredibly challenging to use. There's very few dApps built on Cardano. And I'm not saying that Cardano can't eventually get to a place that is beautiful and amazing, like other layer one protocol or blockchains. I'm not saying that. And in fact, I'm not even saying that Cardano may go up in price. I have no idea. But it is an example of doing absolutely zero due diligence on how and on like why you're holding a particular asset. So, you know, we talk about being careful. That's what it means. Like you can just do the due diligence yourself. You can get a name of a project from Twitter or YouTube. That's fine, but do some research on it. Like actually go and use it and read about it, and like go in the Discord and ask questions. Like, what do they do? Where's the utility? Where's the long-term value?
But David,
this all takes time. This
does take time. So you have two options. Either you find very good sources of alpha. And obviously I'm talking about yieldfarming.com, but people in your network that are obsessed with it that you may know, and you feel, I don't want to bug him. He's too busy. He's too rich, whatever it is. Find a way to give value to them where it's okay for you to ask them these questions. So like either you pay for access to legitimate good value, or you go and create it yourself. That's it. So if you have time and you work from home, or you have the energy and the brain juice available, like just uninstall video games, don't do anything else, and actually research these projects and realize like, okay, the ETH, what's coming up for ETH? There's a big upgrade. There's been other upgrades in the past, like EIP 1559. What happened to the price of ETH prior to EIP 1559? It didn't seem to be priced in at all. And so this is like a massive piece of alpha for everyone listening, but historically upgrades to ETH have not been priced in. And so right now I have literally never held less Bitcoin and more ETH in my entire life because of that. And also generally ETH and BTC outperform most other altcoins in periods of extreme volatility. And so I want to have an all-weather portfolio, and that's why I have mainly these large market cap projects.
Where can you start though? Because obviously you've accrued this knowledge over the last 7 years of being in crypto, and you are full-time professional. This is what you do. You are Mr. Crypto, right? Especially yield farming, to be more exact. If someone is starting out right now and they're wanting to get into researching crypto, where do these people go? What can they be doing
literally
right now?
go to my yieldfarming.com official page, go follow everyone that I follow, and just scroll through crypto Twitter twice a day and click into threads and read about them. There's so much amazing research on crypto Twitter. You can spend all day there. Yes, there are some paid shills here and there. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the people like Suzu who post amazing thoughts. And there's so many other researchers and podcasts that are great. We talk a lot about them in the group. I mean, even just listening to the Bankless podcast. Is it the best podcast in the world for research? I wouldn't say so, but it's still really good. And you can still learn a lot listening to them. And there's so many others. So crypto Twitter is a great place. And you can actually utilize crypto Twitter to find other tools where you can see where developers are going. So for example, Cardano doesn't have a lot of apps or dApps being built on it. And you can find this information online. You can see how many dApps or decentralized applications exist currently on Avalanche versus Ethereum versus Cardano. Why are there so few apps on Cardano, and where are developers going? Where are the most apps being built? That's another clear indicator of interesting blockchains, is where are developers going? Are they going to Cosmos? Are they going to Solana? And so those are things that you can be paying attention to. And honestly, I would just say for most beginners, just start with crypto Twitter and just scroll through and like get a feel for current meta. Understanding current meta in terms of generating alpha is the most important money-making thing that you can do. Besides being safe and investing in very safe assets, understanding where we are in current meta is very, very important. So for example, in terms of high risk investing, Olympus forks were Ponzi flavor of the season in November. So like that was the meta to understand. Every new Olympus fork basically just printed money. So finding out about new Olympus fork launches and when they were launching and which blockchain they were launching on, and having a spreadsheet that tracked all that, which by the way, we had created by one of our head coaches, CJ, was just literally like free money. It was awesome. Getting into these things early, knowing when they were launching, we understood the meta, and we had created our own alpha. We did the research, we did the hard work, we created our own alpha and shared that with the group. Without getting too deep down the rabbit hole, like those are some really easy things you can do to just get started. And then obviously joining, yieldfarming.com, just in terms of like, we have a free group where we just give tons of value to you, like for free. We get nothing back out of it. We're all very, very passionate about yield farming and want to give value back to the community. I actually learned a lot from YouTube starting out as well. Is it the best source of alpha and information? No. But if you filter through it properly, you can get some great golden nuggets.
Yep, for sure. For sure. I agree with that as well. So let's talk about some of the resources and tools that you do use, that you have in your back pocket, or more accurately, you have bookmarks on your browser, more like, because people always want something that they can go to. So I'd love to talk a little bit about some of these. I know we talked about DeFi Llama on a previous episode. I'm not sure we just talked about it now, but we definitely talked about it. So for the guys who don't know, I've only been in yield farming for 3 months or so. I've been in crypto since 2017, so I do have a decent understanding. But for me, if I really want to get a grasp of what's happening with capital, where the money's moving in the market, I love going to DeFi Llama because it literally ranks what the TVL is, total value locks, for each one of the layer ones that are in there. And it's just really useful to see. And if you're looking at it daily and you can sort it by day, week, month, you can see again how different layer ones have risen up the chart. it just gives you an understanding of, again, where money is going, where developers are going, so I can make better long-term bets. That's ultimately what I'm using it for. It's not something that I'm using as a short-term, like, where's my next win? Where's my next ohm fork? Where's my next tomb fork? It's nothing to do with that. It's more to do with that all-weather portfolio and saying, what do I want to be putting my money into right now? What do I think is going to pop in the next couple of months? That's what I'm looking at here.
Yeah. By the way, DeFi Llama, big stat up top, $216 billion in total value locked in all of DeFi. So that means that there's $216 billion staked or that's being yield farmed with on all of DeFi right now across all these different layer 1 and layer 2 blockchains, which is just incredible. I remember just a few months ago, we were hovering at right under 100 billion and we hit it, and it was a momentous occasion. And now we're well over 200 billion. And obviously back in December, November, we almost touched 300 billion, which is just crazy. But yeah, DeFi Llama is great. Obviously, Beat the Bank Circle Group, we do a ton of Q&As, and I share on my Q&As, like, it's an open book. You can ask me anything. So sometimes we go over even the 60 minutes that we allocated for those Q&As. We have a bunch of other coaches like Chris and Jangle, who are amazing, and Andrew, who pop in there and do Q&As as well. And then we have specific over-the-shoulder training showing you literally click by click how we set up some of our favorite yield farms. And this is all for free. So there's a link somewhere around this video for you to join. And that's a great source of information and alpha as well. If you want to track what whales are doing, this is really, really cool. You can go to Debank, Debank, and look at what are the top wallets doing and what are they holding, and just copy them. Copycatting whales and their trading activity and their yield farming activity is such an easy way to honestly perform pretty well in crypto. Now, a lot of them are farming on ETH, which is too expensive. I don't really recommend farming on ETH with less than 100 or 200K. We talk about cheaper blockchains like Avalanche and Solana and Phantom in our Beat the Bank group. So make sure you go and check that out. But Debank is really, really cool. It's a fantastic source of alpha. And then, of course, I need to mention Multifarm. We have a partnership with them. These guys are amazing. They've done so much great work on putting together a list of all the best yield farms on, I believe, 10 different blockchains. So you can literally type in BTC and look at all the farms listed by APR. So you can sort by highest APR to lowest APR, or even sort by TVL, and where the best farms are for BTC on different types of blockchains. Now, they don't teach you how to participate in those farms, so that's what Beat the Banks is for. But it's still a great source of information, along with Coindix. Coindix, I believe, .com shows you some of the best yield farms for stablecoins on a daily basis. So those are some great sources of information, of course, as well as crypto Twitter.
Absolutely love that, man. So before we cover the final piece of the puzzle, which is the Holy Grail, which is the Yield Farming Mastermind, which I do want to just talk about a little bit on this episode today, because I think it's really, really timely when it comes to alpha. There is another option for you guys, and I'm going to bring this up now. Actually, let's get this on screen right now. It's the Farmer of the Week here. It's John, and he talks about this as gets excitement because he's finally got into the world of yield farming. You can probably see it on the screen right now. He is in the AVAX protocol, which is great, again, for someone who can't tolerate the high gas fees that come with Ethereum. So if you are worried about getting into yield farming because of the costs, this would be a great option for you. And he literally talks about here, get into a farm that we consider relatively low risk because he's staking USDT with AVAX. So AVAX, a really solid protocol. USDT, obviously a stable coin. Great result from this. So if you want to get yourself into that farm, you can actually go and do that. There is a link directly beneath this show right now, or in the show notes if you're listening on podcasts. And there is no opt-in or anything like that. It's just a video. It's 6 minutes long, and it's walking you through exactly what stages you need to take to get into the exact AVAX farm that we often recommend, or we don't recommend. We say to a lot of our members that we would start there personally if we were beginning out on this journey. So feel free to grab that. It'd be a great link for you to get into. If you do want to get into your first farm and have that over-the-shoulder training, you can do that. That being said, if you've got into that, you've got your farm up and running, and you're now at a stage where you're like, do you know what? I'd really like to have something that took me to the next level. I'd like some of those 10Xs, those 100Xs. I want to be a little bit more degen, but also I want to have some longer term game plan. If those are the questions you're asking, then it's all about the Yield Farming Mastermind. So David, please talk to the guys of why this thing was created, what the alpha is inside of it, and why people should be clicking on that link below to apply now.
Yes, very, very passionate about this. So it was created because people just kept asking me, how do you do what you're currently doing. I was obsessed with yield farming, and it really spoke to me, given my traditional finance, the ability to earn an incredibly safe 20 to 30%. In fact, when I started, there were some 50 to 100% options. There still are. We post about those all the time. But the ability to go and earn 20 to, let's say 50% yields on stable coins without taking any directional exposure whatsoever, it blew my mind. And I learned as much about it as I could. I hired researchers just to manage my own capital. And people kept asking me, so I kept teaching them, and then basically was like begged to put together a course. And so what I did was I put together this amazing university where I teach everything that I know from beginning to end on how to yield farm safely and where the best yield farms are, how to leverage the existing tools out there. And so that's sort of your base understanding. And in fact, when I made that university, that course, I wanted to guarantee that I couldn't lose money while filming it. And so in the first video, I literally say, hey, while you guys watch me over the next 30 days, I'm going to make 10K. And there's no other program in the world, to my knowledge, where you can guarantee that. Like, it's just not possible. So I had to stablecoin farm, because obviously if I bought Bitcoin or I bought Ethereum, there is no way for me to guarantee that I will make 10K. It's impossible. I just stablecoin farmed. And I did a lot of market neutral farming. And by the end of, I believe it was like 39 days, I ended up making 40K. And the reason for that, and this is of course not going to be the case for everyone. I started with 500K, just FYI. The reason for that is because I took my rewards and I bought some directional exposure tokens. So I bought some Ethereum, I bought some Luna that performed really well at the time. And so I was able to now take my safe yield of 10K and invest into some other assets that did really well. That's a really cool concept. Then we have people who come in and they own Bitcoin and they own Ethereum, and it's just sitting on their ledger, and they're super interested in this because it's sitting on here doing nothing for them. The ability to go and earn 20 to 50% on these Bitcoin or ETH or whatever assets they wanted exposure to in the first place blew their mind, and that's what we teach. So we have over, I believe now 12 or 13 coaches and full-time researchers that are super hard to find. We had to scour the depths of the internet to find these guys. They're hardcore nerds. We're doing weekly live cohorts and Q&As all the time. We have alpha calls. We have tons of research reports that we put out. And now we have these members who have been in for 4 to 6 months, like people like Ricardo and John, who have learned a lot about yield farming, and they're smart. They're super smart. They're high net worth individuals who have crushed some other area of their life. And we've built this brain magnet of these people and our coaches and my network. And we put it all together to be this alpha machine. Everything that is new that happens in yield farming, new farms that pop up, new research, exploits, like we find out and post about it first. And that's what's so cool about it. So now it's a place where, even though, I've done quite well in crypto and I've gotten very lucky and I've accrued quite a portfolio, I am now personally making more money because I've brought in these really, really smart people who are also starting to share alpha and creating their own alpha. But of course, on top of that, it's allowed me to hire some of the best coaches and people in the world who know so much about yield farming and can answer basically any question. So it's great.
Honestly, guys, it is a ridiculous community. And I mean that in all the right ways. I've not been part of a community that is so open and willing to share in any industry compared to this. It's amazing. And if you guys are in the Beat the Banks, you'll get an understanding from the case study interviews that we do with some of our members, just how dedicated they are to helping other people grow as well. So like David said, if you do want to get ahead of the game, you have to get around smart people. And that is the single best way of doing it. So if you guys want to speak to one of our team about it, we have a whole team of advisors who will jump on the phone with you. They'll chat to you about where you are, what you're trying to achieve, your stack, etc., etc. And they'll be able to direct you in the best way possible for you. That is literally why they're there. So if you want to do that, there'll be a link down below. You'll see like Mastermind application or something like that. It is an application process for the reason David just said, is we want to have the smartest minds who are adding value to the group and not just extracting it and just bleeding it dry. So if you are someone who believes you can add value, you are someone who is truly in the crypto world for the long term, then it might be a really good move for you to get around those people via the application below. Right, that is it for today's episode. David, is there any final words of parting when it comes with alpha, or are we good to wrap this thing up?
I think we've shared a lot, and I'm feeling pretty good about it.
I love it, man. Love it. Me too. Guys, thanks again for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, ring the bell, hit all the links below that you need to hit, and we will see you on the next episode. Peace out.